Hi, this is Odeean here. Today I'm going to be having a look at the Gundam Fix Figuration MRX-009 Psycho Gundam. To start off with, I want to say that this video is a direct result of me watching another YouTube channel which I really love, which is Rocket Punch Army. I saw Chachi Power do a review of this. He didn't really transform it, but he showed it up close in gorgeous detail, and it won me over. So definitely go and check out Rocket Punch Army if you want to have a look at some other really cool figures along the lines of this kind of thing. Not necessarily Gundam, but a bunch of other cool super robots. I'm not a Gundam enthusiast. I sometimes appreciate the way Gundams look, but I've never liked it so much that I've gone and bought one before. And it's also got something to do with that I'm not really into model kits and building model kits, that kind of thing. So Gundam's always been focused on that, at least in my mind. This is my first piece that has anything to do with Gundam whatsoever, and I'm really enjoying it, and I'm going to show you a few of the reasons why. I hope this guy is coming through nice and clear on the video, because he has got a lot of really good details, but it is hard to shoot things that are so black like this, because the whiteness of my skin causes the camera to either blow out the picture when my fingers go in it or make him go dark. So I'm doing my best to make it clear, but it can be a little bit tricky. It is quite a big figure, so to get it all in shot like this, I have to sit quite far away from it, and that's my arm held right out, so it becomes a little bit hard to review it at that distance. So most of the shots of this are going to be close up, but just so you get a feel for how it looks, this is how he looks from head to toe, and it's quite a simple design, nothing too elaborate. I know a lot of Gundam, at least that I see, have got all kinds of weapon pods and wings and all manner of different protrusions coming off them. This Gundam seems to really stick to the bare basics of what a giant fighting robot would be, and it doesn't even come with a rifle or anything like that, just this big shield. We'll get more into that a little bit later, but I love that simplicity, and that's one of the main reasons that I bought it, is that it just looks like a brutish, tough, durable, heavy-duty robot, and that's what I like. From the ground up to the top of his head crest there is 28 centimeters. As a comparison for that height, here's the DX Mazinger Z, and he comes up to about neck level on Mazinger Z. For a more common size comparison, one that most of you probably have, there's the Hasbro version MP10, and again he's about as short as Gundam was to Mazinger, so he's not really in scale with anything that I've got, making him more of a standalone piece. I'm just going to pop off this shield for a moment so we can get a better look at the plain figure, and you can see while I'm at it some of the details on the inside of that. I'll get more to the shield in a moment, because that's a really cool piece by itself. So here we have Gundam. So you'll have to forgive me, I don't know the story behind Psycho Gundam. I'm guessing that's psycho as in something to do with the mind, not as in raging maniac killing people, but you know, I could be wrong, tell me in the comments. This crest on the top of his head, it folds up like this for a transformation gimmick, but apart from that, the one that he ships with is bendy so that it doesn't snap off. We do get this extra headpiece which is not bendy, and it has the feeling of being more brittle, but it is also more rigid. So you can see here that this one's a little bit warped just from gravity, whereas the rigid one, if you want to use this as a display piece, is going to keep straight and not sag like that, which is pretty cool. I'll probably end up putting this one on in the end. We also get these little plugs to fill the hole that the shield was plugged into. So there's the hole right there, and we can just stick it in like that, and friction keeps it in. Now's a good time to bring up a major defect that I got straight out of the box with this guy. On my one, this whole arm assembly was put together backwards, and especially the parts that snap together on the forearm were 180 degrees around from where they should be. So I had a really hard time getting it off. You can see this little thing here is a plug, like a screw hole cover, and it was glued on extremely flush and extremely securely. It was very hard to get it off. In the end, what I did was I got a very thin screwdriver and an oil stone that you sharpen knives with, and I sharpened the edge of the screwdriver until it was like a razor, and I wedged it into the gap here that you can't really see, and maybe I can show it. And I levered it opened in that point, but you can see I have done a little bit of damage, splitting it apart like that, and it's an inconspicuous spot right inside the elbow there, but it did damage it slightly. So if you have the option of checking the figure before you buy it, then do so, because there are some assembly issues with some of these, at least there were with mine. While I'm talking about QC, there is one other very minor QC issue that I've had with mine, and it's got to do with the matte finish. So one of the things that Chachipawa over at Rocket Punch Army really made me fall in love with this by showing was the matte finish. And you can see the beautiful velvety matte kind of light absorbent finish on this. It's not glossy at all. I don't think there's anywhere on this that's glossy except maybe the eye glass there. But on my one up here, there is a small drop of something. There you can see it at that angle. Some kind of residue has dripped on this during manufacturing, making a little bit of gloss in an otherwise totally matte figure, and it does catch my eye and annoy me a little bit. It's not too bad, but I do wish it wasn't there. One thing to be very wary of when handling this figure is don't sweat or don't touch greasy things. Don't eat a bag of chips and then go and play with this figure. In fact, I wouldn't even have a glass of water and then go and play with this figure, because the matteness is so smooth and perfect on most of it that any kind of residue is going to make it glossy, and it will really show up if you get a little bit of gloss happening on this perfectly matte figure. And you don't want that to happen, because that's the selling point on this. It was for me. That video that I mentioned really drew me in with the matte finish, and I don't want to gloss it up. I don't want to scratch it. Any kind of scratches are going to end up being gloss, and any kind of sweating and filth on this is going to end up making it gloss, which is not something I really want to happen. Looking up close, you can see all over this guy are tiny little, I don't know if they're tampos or printing. Either way, they look like warnings or instructions. Then if you look at it really close, they're not actual writing. It's just a simulation of writing in little dots and dashes. But unless you get like a magnifying glass, it looks as if he's got all those signs on it, like this turns this way, or do not step, or whatever. There's some actual writing on the chest there, Psycho Gundam. That text is big enough to make out, but a lot of this tiny little text I don't think actually says anything. Moving up, you can see it's all over the place. Pretty much every panel has some kind of writing on it, and it gives it such a degree of realism. I love it. It's like a military kind of feel to it. It's not like a toy. I'm not too hot on this thing though. I know that vehicles sometimes have like their emblems painted all over it, and pilots do that kind of thing, and like there's a big history of that, but I would have been happier to not have this big logo, especially at an angle. I find it a little bit, takes my eye away from otherwise pretty nice lines of the toy. Here we go. EFSF, Earth Federation Space Force. Colors are really nice. The red is so good. I'm not sure if it's paint or molded, but such clean tones. Another thing that makes this a very cool piece to have are the see-through plastic panels. So you can see here, this could just as easily have been painted on, but what it looks like is that we've got a gold or silver panel underneath, then an orange tinted see-through plastic on top, and then finally orange paint on the top of that. So it's like no detail or expense has been spared in getting this guy to look just right. And we've got more of that on the chest, if I can find the place where it's focused. Very beautiful. There's the other arm. Panels down here. These armor panels on the shoulders really can tilt up quite a long way. And I'm almost scared to do this. I guess I don't want to scratch it. I really don't. So I'm so reluctant to move these panels like that. But you can see once you get some clearance, there is quite a large degree of motion that you can achieve with the figure. So if you're brave enough to go posing it, definitely you can. These panels at the front bend up. They don't really do anything, just for the look. And here, the flexibility. That's why I've left this on for the review. That flexibility of the crest in the flexible crest just saves you from breaking it when you're playing with the toy. Elbows. There's no clicks. You can see these are all just pivots with friction. There's a kind of bump at the back that stops the elbow going more than straight out at 180 degrees. The fingers here, there's a ball on each main knuckle, but the fingers themselves don't bend. There is another hand, which I'll get to in a moment. Ball at the wrist. This here is something to do with transformation. I haven't transformed this yet. I'm not sure that I want to, just because I don't really care about the drop mode or ship mode, and I don't really want to scratch it. But moving down to the leg here, we do have ratchets on the leg, about 90 degrees, maybe only useful, say 75 degrees there, because that last click won't hold. And here's where we get to a really awesome feature. Look at this, very smooth. I'm not sure if it's die cast or stainless steel, but it's got metal in here. I would love it if the figure just had this everywhere, especially if the elbows and other visible parts like up here, I would love it if they were this same stainless steel. It gives it a really good heft and makes it look very strong indeed. I do think that it's primarily for show, because it doesn't seem to be in a location where it's overly useful. Like, it doesn't seem to... There's a little bit of die cast or stainless steel down here in the ankle, but it is just a little. This doesn't really continue right down to the joint. Ankle tilts. The nozzles on the rocket here can be vectored any way you like. It's got quite a lot of nozzles. If we turn him around, remember at the front here we've got more on the abdomen. I don't really know if there's much point to having that many boosters on the front, but it certainly looks cool. Earlier I showed the shield, and this shield particularly makes the piece. On its own it's great, but with this shield on display it is fantastic. My son, he's 14 now, he doesn't care about toys at all, but when he saw this figure with this shield, he spent about 10 minutes posing it up into an awesome pose, and he did a really good job. And the shield was kind of raised above his head. It was just awesome. And I think a lot of what makes this shield good is, again, the matte finishes, the matte reds, the matte black, and the fine little printing. Oh, look at that. I can see a little bit of gloss forming there. I've been touching it too much. My fingers probably starting to sweat. I think this is definitely one piece I want to keep my hands off. Now, on the other side, we've got this pivot point. This pegs into the arm, and to let you pose it, it's ratcheted like this, so you can put it at whatever angle you want, and it will pretty much stay there. This whole section actually slots off like this, so it's only used for posing in robot mode. The shield itself splits in half, like so, and this is part of his transformation. It joins onto him, and I think that's the reason we actually get a shield, part of the transformation. I would have been happy to get a gun as well, but given the choice, this shield is better than a gun. We get a base with the figure. Here it is. You can see these holes through it here. There's a reason it has holes. What you do is you slide this on here, and am I doing this right? These pieces go through here, like so. Just snap in. That gives us the robot mode base, so his feet can peg into here. Let's have a look underneath. You can see that peg holes slash rocket boosters there. I'm just going to do it now. Uh-oh, I poked it out. Hang on. Let's try that again. A little bit flimsy. There we go. Let me tilt the camera down. You can see that that locks him in there. I'll pick that up. That's locked on. So it's good enough for display. It's not rock solid. You wouldn't want to have a big shaking surface. It probably would still fall off. But that's his robot mode base. But I think the real reason that we get a base is for the vehicle mode. So to do vehicle mode, we've got to pop out these two sections, and we can rotate them into the other orientation and put it through like this, so it becomes flush. Just do that to both sides. There we go. Slot out this thingy and slot in another piece here. Now into this we slot, how does this go? Goes in here like that, and that's it. Now I haven't transformed him yet, so I can't show it at this stage, but this holds up his vehicle mode as if it's hovering in the air. We get these three struts, which also help him hold together in his alt mode. And here are the two alternate fists. So these are the permanently closed ones. They look really good, and I think in the end I might put these on. For now I'm kind of happy with the wiggly fingers, but they do look a little bit weird. I'm starting to think maybe there's guns in the end of these fingers, because have a look there at the barrels in the end of his thumb there. So maybe he does have some kind of weaponry after all. These are pretty nice hands. I'm quite happy with those hands actually. Here it is in the spaceship mode, or is this some kind of drop capsule mode? Either way, this is pretty weak. It doesn't look fantastic, and even if you did like the look of it, the execution is a little bit off. These bits in here, there's a transformation in the thigh, and I found it very difficult to get the holes to line up so that the stabilization strut could go right through both holes. And what that means is that my legs aren't close enough together here, so the stand has a hard time pegging into the bottom of the feet. Now I could have tried harder or forced it, or you know, it just didn't seem like it wanted to go together. And given that I don't want to wreck the surface, I wasn't inclined to keep trying over and over to get the position right, because a lot of these surfaces were bumping into each other, and I just don't want to do that. But there you have it, and you can see the stand pegs in under the feet and in the middle under the crotch there. So if you like this mode, you definitely can put it on display like this. I won't be doing that though. I guess if you put it in a more traditional orientation for looking at spaceships, it does start to look a bit cooler then. That is kind of cool, honestly, like that. But it only looks cool to me because the scale looks different. So knowing that that's one robot, I don't think it's that cool. But if that was a huge ship like that, that looks kind of bulky. I like the way that looks. The stand would have been better if it could hold it in that position. But maybe the media that goes with this, it doesn't actually happen. My final thoughts. This is a really good value for money piece. I think in US dollars, it ended up costing me about $110 plus shipping. In Australian, at the time, currency conversion wasn't so good. It ended up being about $150. But for what you get, the look, the detail, the fit and finish, the surface quality, the paint quality, this is a really top-notch piece. It's got die cast. Every aspect of it, every little detail is pretty much perfect. And for $100, a little bit more than $100, you are not going to find a better value for money robot. This is one of those pieces that I can just unreservedly say to anybody who likes any kind of robot, just pick this up, because you could do a lot worse for that much money. It is hard to put this guy in a position where he will look bad. And I really have to give some credit to Bandai. I've bought figures for a lot more than this that just don't pull off what this guy pulls off. And I'm not even a Gundam fan. I can imagine if you're a fan of Gundam, I don't know, maybe this is par for the course with Gundam. My eyes have kind of been opened. I'm almost certainly going to get something else Gundam related now, and just purely off my experience with this, I'm very, very happy with this. So anyway, that's been my video review for Gundam Fixed Figuration Metal Composite MRX-009 Psycho Gundam. I'm odeean. Thank you for watching.